Mean Girls is a total classic for so many reasons: its endless supply of quotable lines, its satirical but still relatable plot, and its memorable characters, to name just a few. In fact, the movie is so beloved that it's been turned into a Broadway musical, which is being turned into a movie musical set to be released next January. So it's safe to say Mean Girls has definitely earned its place in the pantheon of iconic high school movies, but it's not the only teen movie to worm its way into our hearts. The teen movie genre goes back decades, evolving to reflect both the idealized versions of high school life and more realistic ones. Mean Girls falls somewhere in between, which is a big part of its legacy. While most people probably didn't have a literal burn book being passed around the hallways of their high schools, you most likely can relate to the intense cliques, brutal spreading of rumors, and feeling like you'll never fit in. Mean Girls is ridiculous and over the top, but it's also honest about what it feels like to be a teenager, and that, even more than the hilarious dialogue and iconic scenes, keeps it relevant nearly 20 years later. It's no wonder we're always looking for movies that remind us of the best parts of Mean Girls. Though Mean Girls is absolutely one of a kind, there are other teen movies that remind us of some of the best elements of this beloved comedy. The next time you're craving a rewatch, consider making it a double feature with one of these fantastic movies like Mean Girls. Movies like Mean Girls Bottoms. Bottoms is like Mean Girls' even wackier cousin. The teen comedy follows two teenage lesbians who just want to have sex before graduation. After they accidentally stand up to the school's top jock, they think the way to get their cheerleader crushes to return their feelings is to start a fight club. Things only get more ridiculous from there. Bottoms takes the laugh-out-loud hijinks of Mean Girls and cranks it up higher. But even amid the chaotic sex jokes and blood and guts, this movie still has a tender heart and some sweet romance. Movies like Mean Girls Booksmart. Booksmart is another irreverent high school comedy, this time about two teens who realize just before graduation that they could have, and maybe should have, been partying this whole time. They're intent on having the best night of their lives before getting their diplomas. Their one night of partying takes them on something like a magical mystery tour of their high school and their classmates, and as they both pursue the love they worry they've been missing, they also solidify their friendship even more. Movies like Mean Girls Clueless. Before the plastics reigned over high school, Cher Horowitz and her pals ruled their Beverly Hills high school with some goofy hijinks, charming self-absorption, and fabulous 90s style. Loosely based on Jane Austen's Emma, about a self-centered and wealthy young woman who enjoys meddling in her friends' lives, Clueless transplants the action to a high school full of privileged teens. Cher and her BFF Dion decide to take awkward new student Ty under their wing and make her over into a perfect member of their squad. Along the way, they face boyfriend issues, messed-up love triangles, and common teen dramas like driver's ed and party invites, not to mention the amused disapproval of Cher's ex-stepbrother, Josh. Movies like Mean Girls, Easy A. What Mean Girls was for the early 2000s, Easy A was for the early 2010s. Starring Emma Stone in one of her breakout roles, the movie riffs on the English class classic The Scarlet Letter for a wickedly funny comedy about high school hierarchies and sexist double standards. Like Katie Heron, Olive Pendergast starts out as a charming outsider at a high school with brutal gossip. Unlike Katie, Olive gets thrust into the spotlight accidentally when a rumor spreads that she lost her virginity. Instead of hiding, Olive decides to turn her newfound infamy to her advantage, helping out some friends and drawing attention to the hypocrisy around her school. Movies like Mean Girls, Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. The most underrated of Lindsay Lohan's teen movie catalog is this quirky My Fair Lady riff. Lola is the drama queen of the title, a theater kid with big dreams of making it to Broadway one day. So of course she's horrified when her family announces they're leaving New York City and settling in the suburbs of New Jersey. Upon arriving at her new school, she quickly befriends one of the school outcasts and bonds over their shared love for a band, all while making an enemy of the resident mean girl. Like Katie in Mean Girls, Lola gets caught up in her own web of lies and has to decide what kind of person she really is. Movies like Mean Girls, High School Musical. Think of High School Musical as the sweeter, goofier cousin of Mean Girls.